In this episode, I get to talk to Jesse Gillenwalters from Indepreneur, also known as Basic Printer. If you don't know what Indepreneur is, basically they're like a music marketing training company. They're also an agency, and they also have like one-on-one kind of thing and group coaching as well. And Jesse's involved in like the agency level, running ads for clients, doing one-on-one coaching, helping people get their music marketing funnels up and running. And he literally sells hundreds of CDs per month. So I thought it would be... My dog's very excited for this video. I thought it'd be really cool to talk to him, pick his brain, and I hope you learn a lot. Enjoy.
I am Jesse Gillenwalters from mostly representing Indepreneur here, but I'm also a musician. I go by the name Basic Printer for my music. It's kind of fritzy synth pop thing. But, you know, I think the most applicable kind of platform to speak from will be kind of the marketing with this conversation. So yeah, the Indepreneur kind of side of my life, which is very central to kind of everything I'm doing, which is really cool, is you know, over there we create marketing trainings, and we have a subscription to like I think at this moment maybe 15 trainings, video trainings, teach you every corner of marketing your music you'd ever need to kind of investigate, whether it be Facebook ads, Instagram ads, you know, Spotify, email, product developments, you know, website building, campaigns, you know, all of these kind of, you know, really deep, bigger elements that really combine into good marketing for musicians. We cover all that. We also have an agency, and I run some accounts there. So, you know, some people sign onto our agency and we run their marketing. I run a couple accounts over there. And then we also have a group coaching program at Indepreneur called Indie Founder. And I am, it's kind of Corinne Campbell and I are more or less leading that. She's kind of the head of that product, but I am kind of the lead instructor there, and I do a lot of the curriculum development and teach those classes. So yeah, that is what I'm all about.
So to summarize all that, basically music marketing expert guy who can teach you anything you want to know.
Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
And if any of you haven't heard of Indepreneur, I highly recommend, you know, I mean, obviously I teach stuff on here and I sell my own courses, but like I highly recommend Indepreneur. It's a really good program. And even if like you're not at the position to like pay for something, I mean, the free content you guys offer is really good too. Like the podcast that Corinne and Jack do, every time I get in my car, I play it because it's really good. So,
it's quite good.
Yeah. So I guess first, like, let's talk about how you get started in Indepreneur, because you have a more interesting story where you were actually a student first.
Yeah. So, you know, again, currently we are offering, you know, our subscription has tons of trainings, but I think it was late 2017 when Kyle was the only one running the company, he had just one training called the Fan Finder training. The Fan Finder method, in a nutshell, it's a video ad campaign that you can run at a pretty affordable budget and pretty reliably, like almost 100% of the time. Like, it just results in a lot of interested fans knocking on your door, you know, following your Facebook and Instagram. And it's a perfect first step to then take those people, bring them somewhere more monetizable. And I bought that course kind of totally whimsically. I remember looking at the checkout page and being like, why am I here about to do this for $200? Like, I was like, you know, learning this thing for $200, totally, like, I'm not batting an eye at this. It was, I think, like November 2017. I was like, I'm not going to be doing shows the rest of the year. Like, we're entering Christmas mode. Yeah. This would be a good time to just learn something. So I'm not, you know, batting an eye at this, but I was like, wait, I don't know who this is. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know how I got here. And I was just like impressed that I was so drawn to buy this without much thought.
Yeah.
And that really kind of influenced me. And I mean, that really persuaded me to listen to Kyle more, because when I bought when I started going through the training, because it was like everything he started talking about was like, yeah, I just fell into this exact stream. And when he asked me if I would pay $200 for this information, I was not mad about it. I wasn't offended. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so basically I ran that strategy a bunch, ran a bunch of kind of music video ads on Facebook and IG, had a great response for me. It was like, it just blew the lid off of everything I was doing. Like up until then, I was clawing at random, at random approaches and like, just guessing and taking random stabs, and it felt like maybe things were happening sometimes, but this was the first time where I was like, wow, I can see in this dashboard things are happening like in a palpable way, so I got super hooked on marketing my music after that, and it was just like every little possible thing I could try. It was like, oh my god, if I can try that, I could do this and I could do that. And I just had that brain, ever since. Yeah. So that led me to kind of working one-on-one with Kyle in his mentorship program. And I got to know him a little bit. I went on a tour that I booked, and we like marketed that tour, which was pretty interesting. There's a lot of good stuff that happened there. I learned so much about kind of, again, like the full stack of page building and checkouts and everything. Because it's very hard to market a tour, much less for a budding, like experimental weird underground project.
I saw your description of your music. It's like glitch pop. Is that the
glitch pop?
And I think I checked out some stuff. I ended up finding out what your artist name was somehow, and checked out some songs. And I mean, you're not doing like death metal jazz or anything. No, so you're not super unique, but I could see how you would be a little like nervous about doing a tour around something that's not like hip hop or pop or rock. You're doing a more unique approach.
Right. I couldn't wrap up, in the booking emails, I couldn't kind of wrap up what I sounded like in a catchy phrase or something. Yeah. As much as some others may be able to. But either way, quite an endeavor to market that tour, and it went pretty well. There was a lot of good stuff that came through our advertising, and it was just, more than anything, it was a really big learning moment. And basically after that pair of experiences, it was just like I was in. I mean, I couldn't learn enough from them. I couldn't dig in deep enough to everything they were doing. It was creative juice all the time. Like chronologically from the first one, like I could not stop. And, I was just so vocal in the community and as a customer that eventually, and then, they're kind of watching me, apply the trainings. I ended up contracting for them for a bit, and then it rolled into a full-time situation.
Yeah, that's a sweet story too, because it's always funny when stuff like that happens. You're like learning from someone, and then you're like working with them, and you're part of the team, and you're a pretty important part of the team now too. I mean, you do a lot.
yeah, thank you. It's good to reflect on that and look at that. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of stuff like we could talk about, but I thought something that would be I guess maybe a good start would be when you're doing Indie Founder, since you're kind of the main coach for that. I know there's a bunch of different stages to it depending on where the artist is in their career, but on average, like what's the most common thing that people have a big misunderstanding of, or that people get wrong, or that, I guess, like, what's the common thing that they come in and you're like, no.
Yeah, man, a lot of it is like, so quick little lesson. This will be like a few sentences. We have what's called the buddy system, which is like the fan journey of, becoming more of a hardcore fan in your marketing system. And there are, I think, 7 stages to it. The first is introduction, right? They've heard of your music at least once. Maybe they heard a tune, maybe they've seen a music video, maybe they've heard of you from a friend. That's number 1. Number 7 is like referral and advocacy. They're like over the moon. They can't stop talking to you about you. They're obsessed with your stuff. They will go to bat for you and tell, buy gifts for their friends and tell people to buy in, and and everywhere, getting someone from intro all the way there takes, 5 other steps. Like there's education, like apprising them more on who you are and more of your other stuff. And then there's getting their email and or their text, their phone number for text. And then there's getting that first purchase. And all of these require tenure and the number of campaigns and a deliberate approach, right? A lot of people in Indie Founder, they enter and they have like, you know, maybe kind of some products here or there and like a half-built website, and you know, they have a MailChimp account and that's about it. And otherwise they have like a good amount of intro and maybe some spotty education and like, you know, a handful of like friends and family on their email list, and that's that. And it's like,
yeah,
man, I mean, you know, a lot of what I see is like, you know, they kind of poked their head into the Indepreneur teachings and thought like, you know, oh, okay, well, I should grab this website builder and that, you know, email thing. And they kind of set up the, you know, the structure of things. But then they have a hard time just like kind of pushing the traffic through it. You know, a lot of times it's just like, hey, if you just, you know, try this one little campaign or try this email automation here, or like you invest at the top here, you'll probably see some good things happen. You just have this kind of spotty structure here that's not totally interconnected and not totally kind of, you know, the gas isn't really going on it. So it's interesting. There's not a lot of people that come in and they're like, I have nothing except this video ad, you know. It's like, so I think a lot of it is like, maybe they have some cold feet with like pushing traffic through what they have. They don't feel like they're ready to do it, but you know, no one's ever really ready is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, and even for myself, that is it's a lot scarier when you're trying to think of like, I'm going to run a funnel to sell some merch related to my music than it is to say, I'm going to run some ads to grow on Spotify, for example. Because when you're doing the product thing, like you have to be a lot more personal to get their, I'll use Indepreneur terms, to get their permission so that they can join your mailing list. And then you have to come up with this very, relatively intelligent stream of emails to warm them up. And you might be retargeting them to educate them further so that they can ascend. I think I'm hitting all the terms.
Yes.
To buy a product from you. And then the product thing is a little scarier because it takes a lot more work if you're doing it the DIY route, where you have to physically make something and package it and ship it. Do you ever work with artists who, well, let me rephrase that. Well, I guess what's actually probably the biggest problem that artists have when they're trying to figure out where the holes are in their funnel? Like, is it the they're struggling more with the ads? They're struggling more with the content, the warming up via emails, or is it something else? Maybe the product or the offers.
Yeah, I think it's actually more ethereal. You know, it's interesting because we're dealing with musical artists, you know, very savvy, very intelligent group of people, very creative group of people. The way I see it for most of our indies is like, you should be able to take any one of these very creative, savvy people and put them in front of ads and emails and product creation. And it should be like their mind is spilling out into a million different directions and good directions. Like, and all of these things should congeal around who they are in a very cohesive way. And I have that faith in indies, and I know they have that in them. I think a lot of them confront these template type things. So like, I gotta think in emails, right? I have to think in captions all of a sudden. And I think they, for some reason, abandon that, and they kind of enter this more clerical mode. And they're like, okay, well, I guess I would hit these check boxes, and they kind of reduce themselves down to like, I need to write 4 emails rather than saying, I need to tell a story about this thing. And maybe that takes 4 short emails, maybe that takes 8 long emails, like whatever. And so I think it's really the trouble is a mindset thing in that direction of like, I think people abandon this sense of like, okay, I am building a universe, right? Like one of my friends here, she once said to me, you know, she's an artist too, and we were kind of just talking generally about like this kind of stuff, like how do you monetize and brand, and how do these all fit together? And she said to me, she was like, well, I get what you mean. Like when I think of Basic Printer, I think of it's like the Marvel universe. It's like, you know, this character has this whole front, and this, you know, there's this these settings and these, you know, kind of undertones and these features. And it's like, if you go anywhere into what an artist is doing. It should be palpable. Like the shirt should speak as loud as the music is speaking, as your live streams speak, as your image, your photo shoots speak. And like, there's a lot of kind of congealing and cohesion around that people kind of get spotty with as soon as you say, okay, now we're going to take this to like a marketing funnel framework. I feel like they get kind of clerical, which is funny.
Yeah, I've noticed that too when I talk to people, when I do consultations or whatever, and I get to the actual text of their ad. I mean, on one hand, people struggle with a lot with what videos to put in their ads, which is like, in the end of the day, most of the time, I'm like, you need to test stuff. And they're like, but what do I do? I got a picture of my artwork and I got a picture of me in the studio. I'm like, well, you can perform in front of a microphone. You can make an animated thing. You can do a music video. And obviously this is a different method than what like is in the fan finder method, but people do get frozen up when it comes to doing creative stuff that's not music, especially when it's like trying to think about the mind of a consumer or a potential fan. Like, especially the text field, the biggest thing I see people do in the text field is our new single is out now.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh man. Oh no, don't say that. No one gives a shit who you are yet. They're not going to care if your single's out now. And people do it all the time. And so I can see how you saying that for your whole system and all that, like I can see how that would be a major problem. Yeah,
totally. I mean, it's like, I always tell indies, they're always wondering about, all the time, because we're talking about this permission phase, right? Where it's, again, for your audience, the permission phase is when, ideally you've brought an audience that has heard of you enough. They've maybe conversed with you a bit. They've gotten a sense for who you are over the course of a bit of time. And now you're making an offer that's like, hey, you can see behind the scenes of this record, or like get access to this exclusive live concert series or whatever, some kind of digital offering in exchange for their email, which is the permission phase. And a lot of time I see in these permission phase offers, our indies will be like, get 8 songs and 3 videos and 2 stories behind. And it's like all of that is implicit, right? Like like it's all digital. Like it's all the same to me. I'm going to be clicking on a page on the other side of this, no matter what you say. So like you telling me like, 8 videos and 5 songs and 3 unreleased songs. It's like, tell me about like the universe that I'll be entering. Like instead tell me like, hear the story of, the worst breakup I've ever had and how I came out of it through music or something like that. Like use the end result, like the affect that your music has. That should be the offering, because, again, it's not like, ooh, I get to interact with MP3s. That's what's interesting about this. Like, no, it's what will the MP3s make them feel like? That's what you're offering. And I think it's the same trip up with like the caption, single out now. Well, yeah, everyone singles out all the time,
especially if it's Friday. It's like everyone's
exactly.
So I can imagine everyone's that's watching probably is thinking, okay, that makes sense. How do I figure out what I'm going to say and what my universe is going to be? Yeah. And again, this is probably the same kind of issue where people know what to do musically. They're like, I like this, this is my style. But when it comes to what their world is, that can involve choosing a logo, choosing color patterns, choosing what version of yourself you're going to share with the world, and what do you publicly tell people that you enjoy, and maybe you have some inside jokes, and like it's hard to figure that stuff out. And I mean, over time, it probably all comes naturally, but it's if you're a newer project, you kind of got to pick it. And even if you're an older project, you've probably sat down and invented it at some point, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Yeah. So if someone's saying, what the hell do I do? What would you say? Like, how does someone figure this stuff out?
Right. Because you're absolutely right. Like at some point I do have to pick something, even if it's totally antithetical and out of whack with the affect I'm having. Like if I'm a brand new artist. But there are still kind of, it's a bit of an ethereal conversation that's hard to explain, but it's true, right? Like the artist is maybe one of the furthest. It's weird because we're maybe the most biased when it comes to the empathy of the fan. Like we will never understand what it's like to be serenaded by ourselves ever,
Yeah.
you know, in that real way. So we really are not authorities on how we come off, you know?
Right.
So, but I mean, the best thing we can really deal with is, I would say, like, mine your music, maybe in a very literal, very kind of boring way, like list out what instruments you use, what musical tendencies you, what kind of references and like lyrical angles you take, all of these things, and just start there and kind of understand, like, it would appear, you know, in my case, it's like I'm a little bit this kind of emotive, nerdy, sensitive kind of thing. Maybe I start there. And I think that's, you know, the best you can do at the get-go. But then I think it's like, you know, getting feedback from, like, you have to push it out, see how it does and what people respond to, and then take that back to the drawing board and either, you know, perpetuate things that are working or reduce things that aren't. Like, for example, when I set out with these video ads initially, I was like, oh, my stuff's so weird, like only Pitchfork hipsters are gonna love this, you know. And immediately it was like not those people that were responding in the targeting, you know. It was like outcast 17-year-old high school kids who live on DeviantArt. You know what I mean? Like these kind of, like, it was, you know, the more you know, there were like some anime fans in there. There's a lot of LGBTQ kind of community in there. A lot of like kind of outcast kind of people who self-expressive people. Yeah. And I learned that, and it was like, oh, well, I totally, like, yeah, that's me in a lot of ways. I totally understand that now. And that gave me plenty of cues to go down those kind of pathways. Now, all of a sudden, I know about like an art style that they would resonate with. I know about color schemes. I know about kind of culturally what they're into. I know about their interests. Yeah. All of these things that I have, if I don't already have firsthand knowledge of, I mean, most of which I do, I could go investigate that and then again test that again and say, hey, you know, I could commission some art that reflects that, or do a photo shoot that reflects that, or do a video and just see if it works or if it doesn't. Yeah, that's a really interesting way to go about it. I mean, I guess that's kind of how we do our Facebook ads, right? You kind of guess and test and then refactor and then guess and test. But I've never thought about doing that with the brand message. I guess every song is kind of a chance to redefine your brand, or every release. You can kind of, if you're trying to hone in on your story and you don't have it yet, it kind of gives you a good chance to try to figure it out again. If you're already marketing something, you know. Mm-hmm. Every song can be kind of a little moment where the universe, if we keep up this analogy, gets tilted a little bit in a way that it's like, oh, we're gonna change it up a little bit, but not really lose anybody. Yeah, you know. Yeah, that's really good advice. Now, how about when it comes to the products that an artist should list on their store? Because CDs are surprisingly like selling like pretty well, but I've noticed that when talking to people and different artists that sell CDs, it really depends on the genre in a lot of cases. Like I've talked to people who, like, it seems like some genres of music, it's like, what the hell, you have a CD? You'd be better off selling like a vinyl record or something. Or like even a cassette. Like in some genres, like those nostalgic people who have those old things, but they don't want to have a CD player. Do you find that like do you find that true to also with the CDs, that certain genres just doesn't work? I do. I don't. I find CDs sales to be pretty agnostic. Really? To the genres. Yeah, we have seen hundreds of CDs go between, off the top of my head, like a Caribbean artist, like calypso kind of music, like R&B, soul, folk, rock, and then my stuff like that off the top of my head. All of these examples, I personally have been involved in them selling hundreds of CDs kind of without really a sign of slowing down. It's been pretty interesting, honestly.
Yeah.
So CDs in particular, I found to be very transferable, very, very sellable these days.
Have you ever worked with a hip hop artist on selling CDs?
Personally, I have not.
Okay.
So that genre may be pretty different.
Because that's been the people that have mostly talked about how they've tried it and it failed. Sure. The other one was a metal artist. That one surprised me the most because I have, that's the only genre of music I actually buy CDs. Because I don't even have a CD player. I just buy it because I want to support the band. I like, most of my favorite bands are metal. And so I buy.
Sure.
I bought the new Tool album because their album artwork is super good.
Yeah.
Or their packaging or whatever it is. It came with a freaking screen in it. And it played a video when you opened it. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It cost really $35. Cool. But yeah, I've heard you guys say that. And I've seen it in the group. Like, Brian Hazard, right?
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's watching doesn't know Brian Hazard, go to Google and just type in passive promotion Brian Hazard. He like one of the best websites if you're trying to figure out music marketing. But he joined Indepreneur at one point and tried out your free plus shipping and handling funnel and other various Indepreneur stuff. And he's been I think he sold was it 10,000 CDs in 10 weeks? Or was it 1,000 CDs in 10 weeks?
I'm thinking it was 1,000.
There was 100 a week.
About 10 weeks. Yeah.
So roughly 100 a week for 10 weeks, which is kind of, he makes synthwave. So it is it is a more retro genre, but still it's like that shocked me when he had results that were that good. 1,000 CDs.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it all the time. And I do sell cassettes as well. I don't sell them as much. They're kind of more of a I don't know. I'm kind of take it or leave it. I do go through them and I do keep them in stock as much as I can, but they're kind of lower. I sell them for $10. It costs about $3 to make, and you can't. They're not as duplicable in a fast manner. So it's more like, hey, they come in small batches, and then I make a small profit. And it's cool. It's definitely cool, and it's for a certain sect of my audience. But they're not like the big money makers or anything. Yeah.
Actually, a note about the CDs. Are you aware of any companies that do like print on demand CDs, or would there be like a fulfillment company you could ship them a box and?
Yeah, there's Kunaki does that.
Kunaki,
mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the pricing like on that? Because a CD, if you buy like 100, it can cost like $2 or something. But
I know. Yeah, I actually don't know off the top of my head. I just know that it's like not worth the margin dip that you take, in my opinion.
Oh, really? Okay.
They're so easy. If someone buys 4 CDs versus 1, it still fits in the same envelope. Like, it's really not, just CDs. It's like the margin is so great, and the shipping them is so easy. It's just like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're so thin, and there's like those cardboard mailers that keep them stiff so they don't get crushed, and the bending machines and all that. So I guess if an artist came to you, either for the agency or you're an indie founder coaching, and they're like not doing CDs for whatever reason, either like they have this weird genre where they know for a fact it's not going to work well, or they just have a violent hatred of CDs. Yeah. A lot of the stuff in Indepreneur focuses on like upfront, it's kind of like a CD, like free plus shipping and handling. You're trying to sell your album. How would you have that person shift that initial offer to make it more relevant? Like, let's say they were trying to figure out something digital, or they were trying to figure out a different physical product. Like, are there any kind of common recommendations you would throw at them?
Yeah, before I made any before I consulted any sort of dogmatic thing I might have for myself, being like, oh, well, let's do a t-shirt then, or whatever, I might say, look, you are, I have plenty of reasons to believe so many different items sell, and you for some reason are just not seeing that CDs won't sell either. Yeah. And maybe they have good reason to believe that. But I would say clearly, there's a need to figure out what will sell. So my first thing would be like, well, let's find out what to sell. Let's run a survey or run a ManyChat messenger flow or something that just the purpose of that is like, what would you like to see? And maybe you guide the survey a bit. And you can figure out, okay, they want black hoodies, right? Or they want CDs, it turns out, you know? I love a merch survey. It just gives you 100% accurate information on what you should do next. You know, the people that will buy it were like, you ask them, hey, will you buy this? They say yes. And then you say, okay, well, I'll do it then. Here's your discount code for when it comes in, you know? So that would be my first move. But if we're sidestepping that, I would recommend anyone to do that if they are uncertain, like ask the people that are going to buy it. And if you don't have people that are going to buy it, it may be too soon to consider this, you know?
Right.
But barring that, I go through shirts pretty regularly. And I change, you know, I like to use these surveys to kind of include people on voting on designs and things like that. CDs, I sell hundreds of them a month. The tapes I go through, I chip away at, and I just bought my first run of vinyl, and that has been sensational too. People were loving vinyl. Vinyl is a thing these days, I think.
So this is kind of a pivot, but how many monthly listeners on Spotify do you have?
Like almost 700. I think I have 690 at the moment.
I've noticed that, like, I've talked to some people who have done like crazy numbers in merch and CDs that don't have anything like extravagant on Spotify. And it surprises me, like, when you say you sell hundreds of CDs a month.
Yeah.
Which is like, I wouldn't have, you know, if I looked at your Spotify, like I didn't know if you were like still active or pushing stuff, because you're not pushing the sweaty game that all of us are on Spotify.
Right.
Cranking out a single every 6 weeks and promoting it and playing the game. But you're still selling hundreds of CDs a month, which is a pretty awesome thing. Now, is that all just essentially just Facebook ads and funnels that you've set up through that?
Yes.
So that's nuts.
Totally. And it's it is a pay what you want setup with upsells. Yeah. So they don't all go for full price, but I think I need to kind of check on this average again. But you know, the core CD goes for on average, I think $7 or $8 when you factor in everybody's like people paying $0, people are paying $20. And
it's actually really surprising that
it's
people
really
can
good.
pay you $0 and you still average $7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess Radiohead got it right back in the day, right? They were the first band to do that.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, right.
Damn.
Yeah. So no, but no, I do not push my Spotify. It just kind of grows steadily, slowly but surely. You know, I'm basically with Facebook ads and the CD sales, it's like it's a break-even venture, and I'm reaching thousands and thousands of people every day. You know, maybe sometimes when a single comes out, or you know, I'll do a little retargeting, $50 just to get them over there in case they're interested. But I'm not really pushing Spotify as like a main thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know that in the Indepreneur message on the whole Spotify game is that it's like, you know, you guys aren't against it necessarily. I don't mean to group you guys as one group because you're all individual people, but like the you know, the core belief of the company Indepreneur is generally that, like, you know, you probably shouldn't focus 100% on Spotify. You should try to build an email list and do that. And I mean, I honestly agree with that message. I mean, I care a lot about Spotify myself, and you guys even have a whole course devoted to Spotify on it as well. And I've been meaning to try to break into this merch game and do this stuff as well, because I do know several people who make a living off of like Spotify streams. Sure. And they make a lot more than they put back in, but it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot easier to make your living back and make a living, or even just break even, by selling merch and selling CDs and experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just that whole evaluation, like, absolutely, if you can secure this kind of recurring streaming volume, it can be a great or a life-changing sort of revenue stream. I definitely have some friends that experience that, you know, and they're lo-fi hip hop types, which is you hear a lot about that. But basically the evaluation is like, okay, if I'm going to put $50 a day into Facebook ads, and you know, it's like I would be run so much drier, so much more quickly going to Spotify than I would like breaking even and pulling in these people and pulling them aside and endearing them and conversing with them so that they buy the $40 vinyl 3 months later. And it's like, I mean, I acquired them for $0 and then they've already paid me $40 more than they would ever pay through their Spotify, their solitary, you know, Spotify engagement with my profile, I guess. But that's like 10,000 streams is like for $40, right? Right, like that person.
Yeah, that person giving you 10,000 streams, and you know, maybe that's the only thing they bought for you that year. They're not going to listen to you 10,000 times in a year. Right.
So, and that's not to say like never put $1 into Spotify if you find it to be an important kind of campaign frontier for you. But if you know, I it's just the thing about what we teach is that no matter what's going on with streaming or you know, what time, you know, what season of life you're in or whatever, it's just like I can steadily grow this audience that I totally own and can monetize any which way, no matter what's going on. And so always having that in the background or rather in the foreground, I find to be important. But no, I've admittedly been a little bit curious to work Spotify a little bit more just to see if there's any kind of see what sort of intro and education effects it might have, if any, on other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about Spotify, I mean, the bad thing is they pay horribly, right? That's kind of, we all agree that streaming pays badly on a per person basis. But the kind of benefit, I think, is in like the like, I guess exposure, which is kind of a bad word nowadays to use. But in music trade, you know, you can't pay the bills with exposure. But, you know, they do give you a lot of like free stuff on the platform if your music is popping. You know, I mean, one of my songs is about to cross 500,000 streams. And a lot of that is just from Discover Weekly and Release Radar. And another one of my songs is like 150. Most of that was a couple editorial playlists. Both of those songs had Facebook ad campaigns. But like the amount of followers I've gotten on there and the amount of streams I've gotten on there for free is like, that's kind of the benefit of Spotify, I think. And of course there's downsides. I can't email all those people, right? Until Marquee gets rolled out to me, I won't be able to even retarget them necessarily, right?
Right.
But
right.
It is an interesting. Whoa! Someone just dropped a comment. Apple is paying a penny now. Is that true?
Ooh, I don't know.
I might have to start launching some Apple. Yeah, penny would be a life
That'd be pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get down to 10 cents per conversion or something on Facebook ads, if a person listed 10 of your songs, that would be like break even, which
that's major.
Yeah.
If true.
Which Stephen Pickering usually doesn't drop nonsense. Hey, Stephen. Let's see. I'm just kind of, while I'm here, I'm just going to kind of look at the comments and see what people are saying.
Yeah.
I took all the courses, great stuff. So Jay Clout likes Indepreneur.
Love to hear that.
Mark Mersal, I like where this is going. A lot of things you were saying are right in line with what record companies have always done. The hard part is being independent and not having a marketing department.
In a lot of ways, I find that to actually be the easy part.
Being independent?
Yeah, the marketing, it's like there's no red tape. You can pivot on a dime. You can order new stuff whenever you want. You can design new things whenever you want. You can reach out directly to your consumers and say, hey, what do you want? You know, there's not this guesswork, or, you know, it's not like, I got to order 1,000 hoodies for Billie Eilish. Hope they sell.
Yeah.
You know?
That is true. I mean, the cool thing about doing it independent is you can, I mean, it is hard doing it independent because there's a lot of work to do, I guess. Like if this is just yourself. I mean, if I think of everything I do for a release, you know, I write the song, record it, mix it, master it, make the artwork, distribute it, make the music video, make the ad campaigns. So it's, and most artists are similar too. And so I feel you, like if you're independent, you don't have like a team, it's kind of stressful.
Sure.
We have a wild Corinne Campbell in the chat saying,
she's in here.
I have Jesse. Corinne, you're going to have to be next on the interview list if you're down.
Amazing.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't mean to say it is easy. I'm saying you know, in terms of it not, you know, being an independent musician not being a lot of work. Definitely agree there.
Yeah.
I guess I'm saying the difficulties surrounding implementing a marketing campaign or doing one well or doing one efficiently. There's a lot less in your way of accomplishing good things at scale that aren't like going to burn you out or just take so much money or so much time to put together, or you know, have a loss of creative control or something. Yeah,
that's a good point. Mercer also said, buy a CD and get a free CD later? ?
In my immediate interpretation of that, I guess I would say it would make it it's a good idea to reward your Ascension customers. You know, if you have someone that bought a CD and they whatever they like, I've had situations where I've had people even in this case where they've engaged nonstop and I'm talking to them in the inbox all the time, and they've just kind of been, I don't even know if they asked or if I offered, but you know, would passively mention like, I've been seeing these CDs come through or this shirt come through, and I just like, I'm 16 and I'm broke and I'm in a broken home. I'm like happy to send them a $2 CD for free. And you know, so that kind of stuff, it's a judgment call, and you know, but
I actually have a cool story about that. In 2019, one of my side projects, we released a CD, and we were doing a big marketing stuff behind each one. I mean, we didn't really know what the hell we were doing. That was kind of my big hurrah back into music marketing, I guess. Like they had a budget. They let me kind of figure out where to spend it. And they, what we did is we were running some ads, and eventually we saw this cool Instagram story post of this girl, I don't know how old, like 17, 18, 19 or something, talking about how she signed up for Spotify just to stream our album. Like she heard a song in an ad or a YouTube video and she bought a subscription to Spotify. I don't know if she didn't know there was a free tier or not.
Right.
But we didn't think about that at the time. We were just so humbled that she was saying in the video that she just loved the song she heard and she wanted to hear the whole thing and stream it real easily. So she bought a Spotify subscription just mainly because she wanted to listen to her music. And I was like, guys, I'm going to DM this girl and we're just going to send her one of every merch item we made. Because she's like, that's essentially that's the goal of every artist, I think, right? I mean, that's like the definition of a, well, what do you guys call them? Not a brand advocate. It's what's the
referral or advocacy?
That's like the advocacy phase hardcore. I mean, she literally made several Instagram story posts talking about how much she freaking loved. And this wasn't a DM to us. This was on her like actual stories page. And It was like a 2-minute long stories talking about how great our album was without any work.
See, now here's my devil's advocate to that is why did Spotify get the money?
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, yeah. I mean, honestly, that was probably our fault. We should have had all this stuff ready at the launch when we came out with the album. But in reality, what happened was it came out and, you know, we had no idea what the hell we were doing. And so by the time we had merch, like I think we had some merch ready by the time, but we didn't have it on a store. We didn't have it and it wasn't like in bulk. We had a couple copies of each thing. I think we actually had 50 misprinted CDs because a guy did it like at a local thing. And so I was just like, guys, I'm just going to message her and see if she wants. And we sent her like a t-shirt, a hat, and a CD or something. But we were in like every one of her stories posts for like 6 months after that.
Sure. Oh yeah. And, without a doubt, like a very referral / advocacy level engagements there from that person, which is really cool that your stuff can inspire that at a glance for this person.
And I forget what even caused me to bring that up. Oh yeah, the buy a CD and get a free CD later comment. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're at iHeart Jesse again. Cool. Oh, and Corinne says I would love to chat with you, Andrew, anytime. Sweet. Well,
amazing.
I will hit you. I will hit you up.
There it is.
So I guess like next thing that would be cool to talk about was you're also involved in the IndieX stuff to a degree.
Yeah.
So you're actually running these ads for some of the clients over at IndieX. I guess before we jump into that, have you guys messed around with TikTok ads at all?
We not largely. We've ran a test here or there, and we didn't love it too much. Wasn't anything to sneeze at quite yet, especially again with the alternative being Facebook and IG. But I think because our other account manager Ed was doing some of that, and he found like you can't run ads from your TikTok account. Like you run it from like an advertiser account, which is basically a duplication of or mimicking your other one, and there isn't really retargeting, so you're not consolidating your social proof. It's purely just kind of like this little traffic generation thing, and it's like so we haven't found it to be anything too worthwhile at the moment.
So I hated it at first. And I still kind of hate TikTok a little bit, but someone in one of my courses came up with like a brilliant strategy in TikTok ads. And I mean, the solution, it sounds stupid saying it out loud, but the solution was just making ads that fit the platform really well. And he told this like very intricate story, and it felt very like Gen Z, like, it felt like it fit on the platform. Yeah. And the goal of it was to get DMs on Instagram from people on TikTok. And so he kind of described what he was doing. He was getting really good results with it, converting to Spotify, but also a crap ton of DMs. And I tried it, and it went not as well as his, but like pretty much as equivalently as well as I ran the duplicate of it on Facebook ads. It went just as well on TikTok ads as it did on Facebook ads / Instagram ads. And I was just kind of shocked. One, it was cool because I've never had that kind of engagement with people who I've run ads for. Like the goal of this campaign was get DMs from people, them telling me their story of how they interpreted my song's lyrics.
That is really cool, actually.
And that was like, it was borderline depressing because some people's interpretations and what it reminded them of was like sometimes like heart crushingly sad. But it was really cool. And before that, I had horrible results with TikTok ads. And so that's why I was wondering, like with you guys and your everything you guys do is kind of all about getting like communication with fans and telling stories. So I didn't know if you would have had some success stories already with TikTok because of that.
No, definitely with Messenger, doing things in Messenger, whether it be sourced from TikTok or another platform. That's very inspiring. That has my mind going a lot of different directions. That's hardcore education phase, as we would say. Like, you're saying, hey, like, this is my music, engage with it in this really invested, deep way. That is like a huge jump towards, you are very much simulating everything that's to come, like that's a really great first impression. That's a really cool idea. Yeah.
And I wish I came up with it, but there was this guy, I'll shut him out. I think his name's Brandon Andres. Brandon Andres in my course. And he I think he watches these videos too, because I don't know, he must have seen my videos to end up buying my course.
Sure.
But yeah, he came up with that brilliant idea and he shared it, and it worked really, really well. And it makes sense when you think about it in hindsight, you know, why it would work so well. Like, I hooked him in with saying, like, you know, if you've lost someone in the past year, this song's for you. After you, like, go to Spotify, listen to my song and follow me, look up Andrew Southworth on Instagram and DM me and tell me what the song means to you. And if you want, I'll tell you what the song means to me. And there's like all these like crazy DMs and stuff, which I think I'm going to try. I have a song coming out Friday. I think I'm going to try it again just because it works so well.
I mean, I'd be curious about like the long-term effect of that introductory fan, you know, like,
yeah,
if someone's coming in that way, you're teeing up a different echelon of fandom, like, than them hearing your song on Spotify and then maybe not remembering it after the fact. And
the cool thing was like, I set up the ad that they would like, there was kind of implied they would go to Spotify, listen, follow, and then come to Instagram. And I ran it to the US only, so it'd be very clear. You know, in Spotify, you can separate by country now in the graph. So it was pretty clear to see, like, I started running this campaign, the US started going up on a steady note. So people were not only going to Spotify, but DMing me. And I have a suspicion that you probably would agree with, that those people are probably more likely to listen to my next song than the normal person I send over to Spotify.
Yeah, I mean, the precedent you set was like, you are going to take me more seriously as an artist. Like, I'm not just some line item in a playlist now.
Yeah.
Like, Spotify is this, you're listening to this song on Spotify, and you probably use Spotify in other ways. So I'll get kickback stream-wise and algorithmically over there, but that's not really, it's kind of like what I was saying before about, like, get 8 songs with 3 videos and being very clerical. It's more like, hey, let's confront the affect of this song. It happens to include Spotify as a platform and IGDMs as a platform.
Yeah.
But you're securing that piece first, which is just like, the precedent is way better than, something more passive. So I think that's
right.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be curious to see how they, like you're saying, I'd be curious to see like who of these people out of their own volition, like, go out of their way to tell you, like, hey, listen to your new song that came out today.
Yeah.
This is what it makes me think of, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So on the note about you, you got you being part of IndieX and running ads for clients. I guess, like, when people come to IndieX, what do they normally say is their goal? What are they trying to accomplish? And then what do you end up, well, it's probably different for everyone, but let's say on average, like, do people come to you and they're like, I want to be a big successful artist? Or do you have most people coming to you saying, I want to sell like 3,000 CDs in the next like X amount of months and I have this much budget? Like, how niche, like how much do people understand what you can realistically do? And then, like, what do you actually go do based on their input on average?
Yes, great question. I totally know what you mean. I think we have a pretty good vetting process now, so that the people that are a good fit for the agency kind of understand coming in, like, hey, you're going to come in, we're going to assess what you have going on, what you don't have going on. And our goal is to set up a sustainable, reliable kind of business model that, using digital marketing, that will grow and grow itself, and get it to do whatever we want it to do in the long run. Now, for some people, they think they're further ahead than they are. And it's like they're jumping in and saying, hey, I'm thinking if we could turn, a break-even profit in 3 months, that would be cool. And it's like, well, you need to run like 2 months of FanFinder and that's it for a while, So sometimes I think it's more of like a timeline kind of difference in a lot of people's mind, or they don't understand, like, you actually need email subscribers before anything else will happen. And so now your goal may be revenue, but our goal is now subscribers or something like that. That'll kind of be what happens. But that aside, we do have, we've had some higher profile artists where they'd come in and they would say, basically, we're looking to run this campaign. Like, we have this vinyl coming out and it's going to be a big deal. Like, we need to run it for a long time. There's a lot of odds and ends to it. we need to make sure the checkout's good and the user experience is good. Like everything about this particular product or this launch, we're just going to put it on you for 3 months, you know? So sometimes that's what happens. But yeah, I think we've actually done good to kind of get ahead of expectations and get on the same page about like what we do. And so there hasn't been too much of that kind of confusion lately, which has been nice. I think we have had to figure that out and get that vetting right though.
Yeah. So I guess a couple rapid fire questions on that note. Like what's the minimum budget someone would have to work with IndieX? Both, like, I guess what's the ad spend that you would want to manage and what is like the typical fee that you guys do?
Yeah, I would say ideally we'd probably want to look at what would I do? Probably minimum, like, so the retainer is $1,500 a month. And I would say minimum, you'd probably want to expect to spend at least $300 in ad spend a month.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people retaking it, it's more about kind of revenue lift for them. Like they are maybe making $2,000 a month and we can kind of wash that for them with our services and the ad spend and, grow that revenue. But again, a lot of times, a couple of the clients I have right now, that's less the case for them. And they're more working off grants or investors, and they know like, look, we need to build this up so that it becomes sustainable and they're fine to kind of just, they're not focused on return right now. So it's really a case by case thing and where kind of their budget's coming from.
And now I'm guessing you guys run things through the customers' ad accounts typically, so you can just run things through their pages and do everything. And you're essentially acting as them through Facebook. But like, do you guys, how much communication up front is required for you and the artist to have a good mutual understanding of what's going to be happening? Like there's the creatives, there's the copy. Like how do you properly speak as them when you're running ads? And
oh yeah, well, again, part of the role is just having that savviness and that social kind of intelligence of like, and that marketing, instinct of knowing like, if I am acting as this client, they would, I know they prefer this. I know they say these things. I know their fans like these things, incorporating all these things. So that in itself as a skill is just one thing, but, we use Slack to kind of constantly communicate and some clients will totally trust us. Some clients will ask for approval just so they can have visibility. So sometimes what's great about it is that it's everything we're doing is on their tech stack, their ad account. Like if they end the account, they walk away with everything we built and the history of all of that, so we definitely are, want to enable them to succeed with everything we built, and we're just kind of collaborating on that. So they have full visibility on everything. They can hop into MailChimp and see what we're doing, hop into Ads Manager and see all that. So there's a lot of transparency and communication there in those ways. Yeah,
that makes sense. I'd imagine that would be very hard for some artists to have that sense of trust that like, hey, you that I'm hiring are going to communicate as me in my ads. But but I'm assuming by the time they come to you, they know what you guys are all about and trust you to a degree already. It's kind of scary as an artist giving up control,
Tell me about it. I've yet to really do it.
Yeah, same for me, honestly. Like I probably should have hired a video editor like a year ago, and I edit all my own videos. It's like,
that's good.
What the hell am I doing, man?
saving tons of money.
Yeah, it's saving money, but like it's like someone else could do it for probably better and for less time, and it'd probably be worth it. But a lot of artists, myself included, are very. It's hard to give up control. Like, if I was at the right point, and I was thinking about hiring, like let's say I didn't want to do it anymore or something, and I wanted to just hire you guys, I would have a hard time giving up the control aspect. So I see why a lot of artists might.
Yeah, same here. I totally get it. It is a lot of trust. And so we definitely emphasize like, hey, this is what I would do. Sometimes we'll kind of give them the opportunity to have input and either, veto some things and incorporate some other things based on what we, think would work. Or sometimes it's just not, they don't know what they're saying is like against policy. Like sometimes they don't know.
Oh, like Facebook policy
is comment below. Like sometimes they'll reach out. So there's a lot of that discovery, right? Like, why don't we do this? And it's like, well, actually, it's just against the rules. And then they start to realize, like, oh, I guess I should just trust you then.
The one that's come up several times, which I find funny, and hopefully it's not offensive for anyone watching, but I've talked to several artists who don't realize they can't use the part of the song that has the N-word in the lyrics on a Facebook ad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you can't put that there. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it's a swear. And they're like, like, they don't realize it. Cause for different cultures, it's not like, it's okay for them to say and all that kind of stuff. And so, and then the other part of it is the imagery. And I found a lot of artists have trouble, in hip hop with the imagery that might be shown in their videos. A lot of hip hop videos will have, they talk about, sometimes they talk about dark stuff, and sometimes there's like gang stuff or prison stuff or police brutality, or it's not just like money and chicks and cars anymore. It's like people get pretty deep in those videos, and I found a lot of artists struggle with they're trying to run ads for that, and they get their accounts banned too.
No, it sucks, and it's true. It's like there's a thin line with a lot of this stuff, which is like, if you want to get your music out there in the most authentic way, it does kind of take this expertise of knowing what boundaries you can push and which you can't in the advertising platform. Once they get in, go crazy. I mean, they want to hear the most unfiltered, that's the best way to reel them in. But just evidence that the ads platform is a fickle place. So having someone steer it that knows what's up is important.
Yeah. Have you ever had to like reject a client because the release was too, I guess, against the grain to properly market? Like, let's say, they had tons of swears in their music. The album artwork had like a naked lady on the front of it and guns and weed or something. And has that ever happened?
Well, I'm not like, I don't make those decisions, there's Jack, who runs the agency, is like, decides who's a client and who isn't. So I actually have never had to make that evaluation. What I will say is, like, we've had clients where so much of their content was laden with swearing or other things that, like, we had to be super savvy with like, okay, well, we'll run with this snippet, or like, we'll take that angle, or, we'll censor it this way. And like, we have had to kind of do that dance before. But no, not to my knowledge, where it was just like, this is so gratuitous that like it can't happen. Yeah.
Okay. You have to be really clever. I found, you got to cut out different parts of the song. If the chorus has an F-bomb every line, you can't use the chorus in any of your ads, and it really complicates things. And some people I've worked with have been like, listen, man, I'm not going to tell you how to make your art, but if you want to make the marketing easier, you should probably make it so that your videos are like acceptable in their entirety on an ad platform. Maybe you should make every time you record a song, make a radio friendly version just for us to use in ads.
Because make 2 music videos. Like, if advertising is like, even if they're totally different, and then, that's an interesting story in itself. It's like,
you could probably put that in the copy. We couldn't show you the real music video here, so click below, or well, I guess don't say click below. So come check out the actual video. That it's too crazy for here.
Exactly. Like the fan finder, right, is the safe version, and then you have a retargeting ad. It's like that video, this one, you show it that you saw, like that was a totally differently shot other script music video just so we can advertise it. We can't show you the original concept here. So let me send it to you. It's like a great permission offer.
Yeah, that's true. Jux Bravo, can you just radio edit the swear words out for ads? I think you probably would get away with it. I think Facebook says something. They don't want content that's like obviously censored. I believe that's somewhere in the policy. I don't know if that applies for audio though. Like they don't. They don't want you to like get like a naked picture of someone and put like black bars across the sensitive bits. But I don't know if that applies for like, you know, you say a really bad word in a song and you bleep it out.
Yeah, I've had a decent time. I really have been able to get away with censoring swear words and just removing them from any captions or whatever. I haven't had to do that in a while, so I don't know if it's gotten more sensitive or not. But all in all, like since I started advertising, if I'm doing a video where there's a swear word, I just don't say it anymore because I know it's going to be an ad eventually.
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah. It gets hard if you're trying to like boost organic posts that you did, or not boost, but you know, like run retargeting ads to show your recent content to like your people.
Oh yeah. Like
it's tricky.
I tried to boost, you're absolutely right. Like I tried to boost something once and I didn't know that I was linking out to a thing on my website, and basically the metadata, I wasn't filling in the link description, so it was pulling in like metadata from the page, and there was like a swear word in the metadata of that page, but it was like in the ellipsis, like it was in the read more of the, you know. Yeah. And so it was rejected over and over, and I was like, there's no swear word.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's so true. And then it's ridiculous sometimes.
The policies are pretty weird. Like one weird one, for just a fun one for everyone watching, is you can't show a video or photo zoomed in on a body part.
Yes.
So you can't zoom in to your elbow in a part of your music video and have that as a scene. That will not fly.
Right. They don't want you to do kind of these like before and after type, you know, body image sort of things, you know?
Yeah.
They don't want to do like, do your teeth look like this? And you want them to look like this because it's triggering for people, you know?
That's true. Yeah. I can imagine. Also, if you don't know what you're zoomed in on, you might not know.
Yeah, right. Also that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Slid V. So Spotify has this statement on the website. Unfortunately, you're not permitted to use Spotify's logo for advertising or promoting your business. Is that true? Do you know about this?
I don't know, but if you get that from like Spotify's terms of service, generally it should be true. Yeah. What I'll say is like, do I not see Spotify logos all over the place all the time, everywhere? Yeah. No, I do. And I don't know that these people are not getting away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it a lot and I've gotten away with it. Google is a lot more particular. If you say the word Spotify in anywhere in your YouTube ad, like in the description or the headline or whatever, they won't let you run your ad because you're using someone else's trademark. And you can, you know, if you're using something and they incorrectly do it, you can prove that it's not, you know, that you own the right to use it. But it can even be tricky running ads to a website sometimes on Google ads or YouTube ads because they're so particular about copyright too.
Got it.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it can be kind of, they'll make you prove that like you own the music on the site that you're sending them. If it's like, you know, you're sending someone to Spotify, for example, or any streaming website, if they see that the end destination is a place where people can listen to music, they'll essentially accuse you of music piracy until you prove that you own the copyright.
Interesting.
And you submit like a signed form saying, you know, whoever owned the rights to this music and I'm sending them to this. These are the links I use. This is why it's fine. Happened to me every time.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, we've been talking for a bit. Been talking for over an hour already. I feel like I could talk to you for forever about this stuff. But I guess like this is a good point to just kind of drop into some Q&A. If anyone wants to just drop questions, we'll just chat for a bit.
Absolutely.
But I recently had an artist client with an explicit song. We ended up using the radio edit in the ad, and then even then, some of the ads were still disapproved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had an ad rejected 3 months after publishing it, and it got randomly pulled back, and Facebook said it was because of alcohol references, and there was no alcohol anywhere.
All the time. Yeah.
All the time.
Stuff like that all the time. Like, hey, it's political. This is profane. This is alcohol. This is sexual. And it's never, it just flags like a bot somewhere. A bot filter gets incorrectly flagged or something.
Do you find that their AI detection for both ads and account restrictions are incredibly horrible?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the bar is, because like the biggest social media platform ever, like the rate at which there are errors, is that actually amazing that it's only that many errors, or is it actually horrible? I don't know the scale. What I'll say is that most of the time, I guess this would be the way of putting it. Most of the time when I've had a rejection or account restriction, it's been wrong.
I've seen that when people make new ad accounts, if they jump right into a conversion campaign, their first campaign, there's like more than a 50% chance their account's getting restricted.
Wow.
And I've talked to so many people who are like messaging me like, I just saw your videos today. I made an ad account. The next day ran an ad and I'm already blocked. And it's crazy.
I think it's kind of like they're just touchy with conversion lately. Especially around like the elections and stuff. But I think they're just kind of like better safe than sorry. We may as well flag this in case, because I can't even imagine the scale of accounts that just like are bot created and running conversion campaigns trying to like do some bot activity, and they just shut them down because it, who knows?
It's true.